I am super sorry if you are watching this live, you're logged into Zoom. We had some, of course, technical difficulties today, but that's okay. Delayed, but not denied. We are going to move forward with today's content. But again, my name is Amelia Thomas, your host. As you know, we are experiencing quite the volatility as well as the velocity of changes in the current presidential administration that may not be necessarily directing you yet as a business owner or as a real estate investor, but don't you worry. These things have a trickle down impact. And we fully expect to be impacted probably within the next 3 to 6 months. And we need to be on the defense right now, preparing for such changes. So when those changes actually do take place, we are better prepared, we are better suited to deal with them. With that being said, I must read a disclaimer to you. The information provided is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Viewers should not act on the basis of any content without seeking the appropriate advice from a licensed professional. This segment does not create a client advisor relationship. Please consult with your own financial, tax, or legal advisor for advice tailored to your individual circumstances. Now, I promise not to waste your time today. So, for giving me some of your time, thank you so much for listening in. I am going to give you some highly curated bonuses. That first bonus is going to be the Secrets of the 1% resource guide. If you ever wanted to learn more about the Secrets of the 1%, that is the place for you. The second is going to be an accredited investor checklist. If you've never even heard of an accredited investor, maybe this is your first time hearing me speak. I love talking about being an accredited investor. I love training on becoming an accredited investor. In fact, I believe that every American should aim to be an accredited investor. And if you do not know what that is, don't worry. I'll cover that a little bit further into the presentation. In addition, you will get access to the private accredited investor training on our school platform. But guess what? If you are logged into Zoom, you get these bonuses. If you're watching via Facebook, Instagram, YouTube right now, you don't because you didn't register. So make sure you will go to attendthemasterclass.com so you can register to receive these bonuses directly in your inbox. Now, I promise not to waste your time. Again, I understand what it feels like for someone to waste your time, and I'm not going to do that for to you, okay? So first and foremost, if you're not a business owner that's doing like $500,000 in revenue, or if you're not a serious real estate investor, this may not be the place for you. Now, if you're interested and you're just hungry for the knowledge, by all means, stay and stick around, okay? But this presentation is ideally for those business owners who have over 500,000 in revenue, serious real estate investors, or people who are already accredited investors and they're looking to add another zero to their net worth. If that is you, stick around. If that's not you, unless you want to learn, feel free to exit because the information that I'll be sharing today may not pertain to you. However, what I do promise is to make sure that the information I share with you is going to be something that literally can add a zero to your net worth. You will hear something in this presentation today that you had no idea existed. Okay, so I want you to share this far and wide. If you're watching on live stream right now, make sure you share it. Make sure you share with other business owners. Make sure you share it with other real estate investors. Make sure you share it with individuals that you believe already have hit that net worth requirement, because again, there's information in here that is going to help us prepare while we're on the defense so we can quickly switch teams and be on the offense. Now, you're going to have questions, and I have answers for you. When you have those questions, if you're logged in on Zoom because you registered, I will see those questions and I'll answer those questions throughout the presentation. If you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram via the live stream, don't worry. Obviously, I would love for you to register, but if you don't want to register, that's fine. Just make sure that you put your comments down in the chat box. We do collect those comments, and I actually answer those questions throughout the week in our Wealth Insider School group, Wealth Insider School, school.com. If you log in, the membership is free. Get into that group. You can post your questions there, or you can see the responses to your questions that we grab from the chats throughout the week. Now, you may be wondering if this is the time to actually get started. I am here to tell you that if you haven't already started to prepare for the onslaught that we are witnessing right now, you're already behind the curve. You're already behind the curve. So, no, you don't have any additional time to delay. There is planning, preparation, implementation, monitoring, and revising that needs to be done right now to make sure that you are fully prepared. Again, this presentation is about helping you not only survive this difficult economic and political time, but to thrive regardless of who is in office. That is the purpose of this presentation, and that is the reason why we are hosting these daily, because every single day there is some type of policy change that will ultimately impact my bottom line, your business's bottom line, your family's bottom line. We ain't got time for that. We're already seeing businesses who have lost a significant amount of their revenue, and we're not even 90 days into this new administration. So if you don't think you're going to be impacted in some kind of way, you need to really think again. You must think again. All right. With that being said, who am I? Again, my name is Amelia Thomas. I am your host. I'm also the founder of Empire Capital Ventures. Empire Capital Ventures is a wealth management firm dedicated to helping 7 and 8 figure business owners generate 9 figures in wealth through advanced tax planning and wealth management. I'm also the founder of The Secrets of the 1%. The Secrets of the 1% is an education and training consulting firm dedicated to helping everyday Americans, especially business owners and real estate investors, achieve and implement the wealth secrets of the 1%. I have a bachelor's degree in finance from Alabama State University. I have a master's in financial planning from Kansas State University. And at the height of my corporate career, I've been doing this work for right at 20 years now, or a little bit over. At the height of my corporate career, I had 12 licenses, and those licenses gave me the ability to do a number of things. They gave me the ability to not only sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, but they also gave me the ability to supervise other wealth professionals, other managers, other supervisors, and the work that they were supervising with their teams. It also gave me the ability to participate and conduct due diligence for private equity deals as well as IPOs or pre-IPO deals. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I've been in this area in this space for quite some time, and it's all about building your money team, right? All about building your money team. Now, I don't do this work alone. I have 16 team members at ECV, Empire Capital Ventures, and our team members are all across the United States. And we pretty much cover all of the alphabets, okay? We got CFPs, CPAs, EAs, PMPs, admin support, wealth managers, you name it. We probably got it. And I don't even have the attorneys on here, so that's ESQ and JD. So again, we got the alphabets covered, right? 91% of our clients are here in the United States. 9% of our clients are either international or they're US based, but they have significant international holdings, meaning that they have significant real estate outside the US or they have significant business interests outside of the United States. Here are just a few of the ladies who help me keep my head on straight throughout the day. If you see them in the comments, please say hello. They're really working hard behind the scenes to make sure that we stay on track and that we can deliver a great product and service to our clients. So if you see them around, please be sure to say hello. Now, in case you didn't know, I can get a little bit radical, okay? But I need you to understand that you have some rights as an American. And I need you to understand what your financial rights are as an American, okay? And I have spent quite a bit of time curating these 10 Secrets of the 1% Millionaire Bill of Rights because this is how much I believe in the work that we do and the work that we're doing to help our clients. Because when we can help our clients do well financially, they can continue to do good in our communities. And we're very community based, we're very community centered. So, what are these rights? Number one, you have the right to financial education. You have the right to access clear, actionable, and advanced financial knowledge that empowers you to make informed decisions for your wealth journey. You have the right to build generational wealth. You have the right to create, grow, and preserve wealth for you and your family and future generations, breaking the cycle of financial scarcity. You have the right to minimize taxes legally. I ain't talking about all these quick get rich tax schemes either. Okay, I see so much of it online, and I just start to cringe when I see it. But you have the right to leverage every legal tax strategy available to you, ensuring your hard-earned income stays in your hands to fund your legacy. You have the right to become an accredited investor. Here's those two words again: accredited investor. You have the right to unlock exclusive opportunities in the private equity, pre IPO, and alternative investment space, leveling the playing field with the wealthy elite. You have the right to financial self sufficiency. You have the right to control your financial destiny without relying on employers, governments, or systems designed to limit your potential. You have the right to asset protection. You have the right to safeguard your assets from unnecessary risks, liabilities, and legal threats through strategic planning. You have the right to reinvest in yourself. You have the right to prioritize personal growth, education, and investment in your business or career to ensure continued financial success. You have the right to access capital. You have the right to use your wealth and assets as leverage to secure capital for your business, real estate investments, and any other ventures you are interested in pursuing. You have the right to advance wealth strategies. You have the right to utilize the same wealth building frameworks, tools, and strategies as the top 1%, regardless of where you're starting from. And you have the right to financial wellness. You have the right to live a life free from financial stress, supported by thoughtful planning, balanced risk taking, and intentional abundance. You have the right. If you believe you got the right, put I'm right. I got rights. Put I got rights in the comments, okay? I got rights. Because I want you to understand that as an American, you do have rights. And yes, these rights are in danger. Yes, they are. I'm sure you've heard the term freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. And we have to defend freedom and we have to defend democracy every single day of the week. And these are your rights that need defending. And that's why you are in this defense masterclass right now. We need to defend, we need to safeguard, we need to protect, we need to put on our warrior hats because right now we're in a battle and we need to make sure that we can conquer it. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop into this four legs framework of economic resiliency, regardless of who is in office. If you do not have these four legs that we're getting ready to discuss, your business or your real estate operations very well are in jeopardy. And we want to make sure that you understand these four legs so you can get to work today strengthening your financial position because again, we are in a battle. Those rights that we just discussed, they are in danger. And for some of us, they've always been in danger. And we've always had to fight to defend those rights. But now, even more people's rights are on the line and in danger. And again, in order to defend that, defend democracy, this is a part of that conversation, making sure you have your stuff in order so we can continue to fight what I like to call greedy capitalism. Why? You can't fight capitalism without money, without capital. It's just as simple as that. You just can't fight it. So we got to make sure that we have our money in order. We got to make sure that we got our stuff tight so we can continue on the good fight. We can continue to defend and conquer the battle. All right, so right now you're seeing the four legs, you're seeing a table. This table represents the four legs that you must have in order. You must have in order to not only survive but thrive uncertain economic and political times. Those legs are leverage, expansion, government incentives, and structure. Now, if you've been following me for any particular length of time, you know I speak a lot about these things. Our clients hire us to build out these structures and implement these structures for them. Um, we do a lot of work in this space. So when I tell you that you do not have time to delay, I literally mean you don't have time to delay. You must get busy. So when we're discussing these legs over these next several slides, I want you to pay attention and I want you to think about what are some quick things that you could take and do right now to help strengthen your position. Again, these things are critically important for those who are business owners, especially if you have revenue over $500,000. Believe it or not, that puts you like in the top 5 or 6% of all business owners. If you have significant real estate holdings, you are a significant real estate landlord, meaning you own 4, 5, 6 properties, 5, 6 doors. You just cannot afford to wait and you cannot afford to not get this information that I'm going to lay down for you today. Okay, you just can't afford it. So, what are the four legs? Leverage, how to maximize your resources and position yourself as an accredited investor. We'll come back to the accredited investor conversation in just a moment. Expansion, the power of partnerships, joint ventures, and alliances for exponential growth. For those of you who do not know, our wealth management firm reached 7 figures through expansion. That's how we did it. Expansion. We did partnerships. Okay, we partnered with other firms who had an excess of clients and they needed somewhere great to send those clients, and they sent them to us. Um, Partnerships, right? Government incentives. How aligning with the government priorities can open doors to tax advantage and wealth opportunities. This is a huge one. We have clients who have come to us. They got, $3 million in taxable income. They got over $1 million tax bill. They don't know what to do because they don't have the $1 million to pay the taxes. And they think that we're supposed to be able to create magic out of thin air to help save them money. And no, they needed a financial counselor, not a wealth manager, because you must have money. You must have discretionary income in order to invest to create those incentives. And we're going to talk a little bit more deeply about that in just a moment. And then structure. The critical importance of optimizing your business and asset structures for tax efficiency and protection. If you have all four legs in place, this will empower you to start thinking like the 1%. And if you act with intentions, you build with clarity, you're getting the right advice, you're putting your money team together, you can actually implement and grow wealth and be in the 1%. And that's where I want you to be. I want you to be in the 1%. You may have a journey to get there, but that journey starts now, today, right here, while you're listening to this presentation. So, what are some things that we need to start looking at in step one for leverage? Becoming an accredited investor. Let's talk a little bit more about what exactly an accredited investor is. An accredited investor is a person, and not just a person. Entities can also be deemed accredited investors, but in the traditional sense, it is a person who falls within the one, two, three framework or categories, if you will. One means that they have a net worth of $1 million, not including their primary residence. If they don't meet that credential, you got two, meaning that they have an income, if they're single, of $200,000 a year, have had that income for the past 2 years, and they fully expect to have it in the third year. That's number two. If they don't fall within two, the third one is number three, which means that they are married. They have $300,000 in income. They've had that income for the past 2 years, and they fully expected to have it in year three. One, two, three. 1,200,000, 300,000. If you don't fall in those categories, more than likely you don't qualify as an accredited investor. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, I thought the SEC updated the rules and now it's based on education and licenses and all these other things. That is true. They have updated the rules. However, we are certifying people to be accredited investors pretty often in my firm. In most places that need that certification, they don't accept those other reasons. They only accept net worth and income. That's it. They don't accept the other one. So yes, the SEC may have said yes, you can't. Um, you got these other definitions now, but they're not widely used or widely acceptable at this time. What about your assets? Real estate, retirement accounts, equity in your businesses, equity in your properties, all additional tools we can use as leverage. And then, of course, debt. I understand that some people are really concerned about using debt, but there really is a good thing, a thing between good debt and bad debt, especially when you're building your business. You need to make sure that you have some debt that you're taking care of on your balance sheet, and that debt should be used to help um, generate a positive return on investments in your particular company. The only time debt really should not be returning a positive ROI is for those who are raising venture capital. They plan to either get acquired in the future or they plan to IPO. Therefore, they are more so concerned about massive and quick customer acquisition. And therefore, they have to bring on debt because of the amount of money that they're spending to bring on customers really quickly. Outside of that, we want to make sure that we're using this debt for good and that it is generating a positive ROI for us. So individuals who or business owners who do not have their business operations fully in order, debt is your worst best friend. It's your worst best friend. It's your worst best friend. But if you have your operations in order and you can clearly see, okay, I'm gonna take out this loan and I know exactly what I'm going to do with this loan. I'm gonna be investing this loan and I should be receiving an 8, 9, 10% rate of return based on historical data in my firm. Okay. Makes all the sense in the world. Makes all the sense. Here in this particular breakdown, Sarah, a small business owner, she used the equity in her commercial property to prove her accredited investor status. Not her real estate, not her retirement accounts, not the money in her checking and savings accounts, not the money in her business, not the equity in her business, but the equity in her commercial property to prove her accredited investor status. Within 4 years, she was able to double her returns through private equity investments. So, what you're seeing on this particular chart here is that essentially individuals who are able to become accredited and therefore they're able to invest in other assets outside of the traditional markets, they see almost a 28% rate of return compared to those in traditional markets with a 10.5% rate of return. And this was studied over a 25-year period. Over a 25-year period. So this just lets you know that, you really don't have, if you're really truly trying to build wealth, you don't have a choice but to position yourself to play in the league with the big boys. And playing in the league with the big boys means that you're a accredited investor and that you can now have access to these deals and opportunities that are not available in the traditional sense at Vanguard and Fidelity and Charles Schwab and organizations like those. Step two, through partnerships. Again, I just shared with you that we grew our firm to over seven figures through partnerships. Now we're straightening things up and we are bringing on other lines of business development, but partnerships is a huge revenue source for us. And it probably always will be because we understand and we believe in the partner of partnerships or believe in the power of partnerships. So, what do partnerships look like? That could be strategic alliances, meaning that you're pooling resources with other businesses to compete for larger contracts. Um, Maybe there's a contract in that the government is offering, or the state is offering, or your local municipality, or even a corporate government, and you meet all the qualifications, but you don't have this one thing, but you know someone else who does. You could create a strategic alliance where y'all can come together, where that one company provides that one thing. Maybe they got a certain level of talent. Maybe they got access to a certain resource you don't have. Maybe they have access to more capital that you don't have. And therefore, it makes sense to bring them on as a strategic alliance to get the job done. Same with joint ventures. Joint ventures are another very type of partnership where you're collaborating on specific projects. You're sharing in the risk. You're also sharing in the rewards. Okay. And then actual bringing on partners. Those partners can be active partners. They can be passive partners. Okay. They can be silent. Most passive partners are silent, but you got some that are truly silent, like they don't ever say a word. They never send an email or anything. They just get your update, say thank you, and they move on. Okay. But you just want to make sure before you bring on an actual partner, meaning that you're giving someone equity in your company or equity in your businesses, your properties, that you have done your due diligence. The worst thing you can do is give someone equity in your company who does not have the same work ethic or the same intentions or do not share the vision that you have for your company. If they don't have those three, they are not a partner. You hire them as a consultant, you hire them as an employee, but not as a partner, and certainly not as a majority partner or a significant shareholder. Maybe 5%, 3%, 10%, if that, but certainly nothing 30, 40, 50 and up. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, part of your homework that I want you to do is figure out what partners you can partner with, what kind of alliances you can build. Um, who do you need to partner with to help you get to the next level? Because when you help yourself get to the next level through partnerships, the other person is going to benefit as well, or at least they should. And that's what makes a healthy partnership. Last but not least, partnerships, alliances, JVs, they're nothing but business marriages. The reason why prenups exist is because you, even though you may be all lovey dovey and think nothing will ever, ever, ever go wrong, it is best to plan for the divorce before it actually happens. And if it never happens, great. But you need to do the same thing in business. You must have a strong partnership agreement. You must have strong contracts. This is not something that you would do on your own. This is absolutely something you would hire an attorney to do. And I understand money might be tight for some people. Even if you do use one of these online templates. There are some decent online templates out there. Make certain it is still being reviewed by an attorney. Just make certain of that, okay? Do not just use a blanket online template and don't get any legal advice whatsoever. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. But if you're in the school community, you should see an area called Wealth Defense Masterclass. I want you to come in there and leave a comment and let me know what partnerships you need to get to the next level. And other people will see them too, and you never know. Your potential partner might actually be in that community. So, how do strategic partnerships work? So, a car manufacturer, I'm not going to name who this car manufacturer is, but a car manufacturer partnered with Panasonic to create its battery technology, reducing R&D costs and scaling production faster. Why is that important? Because they're not in the business of creating batteries. They're in the business of creating electric vehicles. And that's where they put their time, energy, and effort. And they're going to leave the people who are better at creating these batteries to doing their job. And they formed a partnership with that particular company so they can get those batteries and get to market faster. People who develop strategic partnerships actually see that their businesses grow 30% faster than those who do not use strategic partnerships. 30% faster. You know, there are some quotes. There's two quotes, and I'm going to butcher both, so please just forgive me right away. But the first quote is something along the lines of, um, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That that is a very true statement here. Yes, you do need to move at a certain pace in your business, but if you want to go far, you're going to need partners. You're going to need strategic alliances. The other quote that I am also going to butcher is basically something along the lines of individuals who own 100% of a business that's only doing $1 million a year and that's only profitable $100,000 a year, but they're the 100% owners, is not the same as a business that's doing $10 million a year where they are a 50% owner, yet the business is profitable $2 million a year. Those are not the same. You got less ownership over here, but more profit because you got more risk being spread around, but you are still the majority owner. So just think about what you're giving up when you are the 100% owner in your company. And when you're small, it makes sense. But at a certain point, particularly for those who are like, hey, I want to hit the $100 million mark, you're going to have to venture deeply, deeply into partnerships and strategic alliances. Step three, government incentivized investing. So this does not mean government contracting. I know a lot of people, when they saw that leg, they were like, oh, she means government contracting. No, I do not. That is a revenue stream that you absolutely should explore in your business. And for a number of us, because of how we're being labeled right now, we're going to be forced to explore partnerships with other firms um, in this space, in the corporate and municipal space. We're going to be forced to. However, that's not what I'm speaking about here. What I am speaking about is when Congress passes a budget reconciliation act, such as the one that was created in 2018 under the first Trump administration, that created a significant deficit that we were never able to overcome. that created what's known as opportunity zones, which was at that time the largest redistribution of wealth we had seen in our lifetime. Opportunity zones. And if you're not familiar with opportunity zones, I'll tell you more about, what those are in just a moment. Because not enough minorities are at those tables. Okay, it's not enough of us at those tables with the opportunity zones. Now we are seeing the second largest redistribution of wealth in our lifetime. And the budget reconciliation bill that's being floated right now in Congress, to my understanding, is 8 to 10 times larger than the 2018 package. And it is not designed for a middle class and the average investor in mind. It is not designed for us. But that's why we must get on the defense and we got to get ready and we got to stay ready so we can take advantage of these opportunities. Because what you may not know is that when these opportunities come around, it's very difficult for them to say, hey, these benefits are only for the ultra elite. Can't really say that. But what it does mean is that us smaller business owners, we have to have the right knowledge and we have to have the right advisors and we got to make sure that our money team is in order to help us understand how that legislation can be applicable to us. How that legislation can be applicable to us. As it relates to the opportunity zones, the reason why I say it was the second largest redistribution of wealth in our lifetime, because 2008, 2009 was the first one. Now we're experiencing this. We just experienced the second one with the opportunity zones. Right now, there's over $80 billion, 80 billion with a B, dollars that have been reinvested into opportunity zones. So what does that mean exactly? That means venture capitalists, corporations, very wealthy individuals, several of my clients, because I've been pushing them that way, have been able to take capital gains. Capital gains, that's a very important conversation. They've been able to take capital gains, no matter if they were short term or long term, for billions of dollars. They've been able to not report that on their tax returns, meaning that they did not have to report that as taxable income right away. So it gives them more time to figure out how not to pay taxes on that money. And I know because we do it in my firm, right? Like I'm talking from experience here. So it's giving our clients more opportunities to not pay taxes on that money. So when it's time to be reported in 2027, unless that legislation is extended, and we fully expect it to be extended, but by the time it's time for it to be reported, we would have figured out how not to pay taxes on that money. Okay. But the biggest benefit is that $80 million, once invested into qualified opportunity zones or qualified opportunity zone funds, once that money is invested and that money grows for 10 years, 10 years, whatever the value is of that money at the end of that 10-year period, whatever that growth is on that money, they'll be able to walk away completely tax free. Completely tax free. So, just as an example, we fully expect that $80 billion that has been deferred right now to probably be worth over 15, 16, 20 trillion dollars. Trillion with a T. By the time that legislation is over or that particular legislation sunsets completely. And not enough of us are at that table. We are not at the right tables. Not enough of us are at that table. Renewable energy products. Again, the government is not in the business of creating housing. They don't really want to be in the business of creating energy, saving the planet, all that. They don't really have interest in that. So what they do is they incentivize private investors and private corporations to do that work for them because they don't want to do it. Same with affordable housing. Right now we have a significant shortage in affordable housing. I think I read something not too long ago that says that not even on the affordable housing tip, but we are short 4 million homes in this country. We're short 4 million homes that ain't got nothing to do with affordable housing. So at some point, it is going to have to become a priority of someone's administration to deal with the affordable housing crisis in this country. And when they do, they're going to be dumping significant incentives regarding affordable housing. So you must go where the incentives are. That is how you reduce your tax bill. You go where the incentives are. That's how you reduce your tax bill. And that is how you now have money to go reinvest in another business. You go buy another business. You go and you purchase a new real estate property. You go buy that laundromat, buy that car wash. That is how that is done. That is how you focus on getting to the 0% tax bracket over time by continuing to reinvest in the things the government wants you to reinvest in. That is how that happens. So, no, I'm sorry. You hiring your kids, you just taking advantage of the Augusta strategy alone, you buying that six-figure vehicle you did not need because it was over 6,000 pounds. Those things sound great, but those things alone are not going to get you anywhere near the 1%. It's just not going to happen. All right, so I actually spoke quite a bit about the opportunity zone, so I'm not going to spend too much more time here. But regarding that renewable energy, in tax credits alone in 2023, there was $11 billion saved in tax credits alone. And if you don't know what a tax credit is versus a tax deduction, that is another problem because those credits are dollar for dollar back into your pocket versus a deduction that just reduces your taxable income. Step four, structure strategically. This is the fourth leg on that table. We build some fairly complicated structures for our clients. We have clients that have hundreds of rental properties. And we have to build structures that help them protect what they've already built, as well as keeping in mind where they're going. And those structures can be a combination of things. It can be a combination of trusts, it can be a combination of LLCs, it can be a combination of partnerships, C Corps, S Corps, you name it. We use them all, they all have different purposes. But the point that I want to make here is that it does require a structure, it does require a foundation. Just like with your home, you would not build your home on a crumbling foundation. You need to stop building your business or your real estate operations on a crumbling foundation. You think you're going to get to the 1% like that? No, you won't. You will not. Because your foundation cannot withstand the weight. Another reason why this is so important is because of asset protection. You know, the clients that got properties in 40 states, all kind of liability circling around them. We need these structures. And this is where that conversation around holding companies comes into play. Everyone likes to talk about holding companies now. Holding companies, holding companies, holding companies. Well, I always tell my clients your structure and your holding companies need to hold you up in the event of a lawsuit. And if they can do that, they did their job. But many people say they have a holding company, and when I draw out their existing operations, I'm busting their bubbles. I'm telling them, no, that's not a holding company. I'm sorry you thought that was, but that's not. That is an operating company. That company has operations, significant operations. It got significant assets. It got significant liability. That's not a holding company. It's not. Last but not least, it should also be able to assist you with your estate planning and making sure that your assets that you've worked so hard, so diligently to build, go where you want them to go. No matter if you're controlling from the grave or you're controlling from a hospital bed and cannot think and operate for yourself, this structure should be able to, again, hold you up in the event of litigation, but also in the event that you cannot control and operate it yourself. So that is why these structures are so critically important. And did you notice that I didn't say anything about taxes yet? Because that should not be the first thing that comes to your mind about putting this structure in place. It is a component, but that should not be the first thing that comes to mind. Once we have this in place, the tax portion of it is going to work itself out too. It's going to work itself out too. So if you don't have this in order, you don't have this in place, this is absolutely a step four that must happen on your four leg framework that you're going to start working on immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, but immediately. So just having that conversation again about the LLC versus S corp versus trust implications. Quick case study: a business owner restructured her LLC into an S corp, saving $15,000 annually in self-employment taxes. That's a pretty common reason why someone would decide to go from an LLC or being taxed as an LLC, meaning disregarded onto your personal tax return, to being taxed as an S corp. That is definitely one of the reasons why. However, you want to make certain, and again, this is just something that we learned the hard way, representing clients all over the country. There are a few states where that does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. So make sure when you are working with your advisor, you're putting your money team together, that when someone is building out that analysis for you regarding your federal taxes, that they don't forget about the state taxes either, so they can understand if that really is a good decision for you to do. Because in some states, people actually might end up paying more because they are being taxed as an S corp versus had they just been taxed as a disregarded entity in that same state. So that is absolutely something to keep in mind. And again, we just kind of learned that the hard way, in my own firm. So I don't want you to fall into that same trap. In addition, something else that I hear a lot of is um, trust, 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 trust. Trust absolutely have their place. We do a lot of trust work. We do a lot of planning around trust. What I will tell you though is just make certain that whatever structure you want to build or have someone build for you, that you work with an attorney and that you're working with a tax advisor and that everyone is working together to make sure that that structure is going to do what you want it to do. We always recommend that our clients get legal advice for anything that we build. There's always an attorney in the mix to make sure that the things that we're recommending to our clients from a legal perspective pass the test. And if they pass the test from a legal perspective and they pass the test from a tax perspective and we can handle the operations for it, we implement that structure for the client. But we don't skip legal, and many people do. So you need to make sure that that's just a part of your budget of getting this done. You need a budget for legal. You cannot say, "Hey, I got a zillion and one rental properties. I'm making all this money, and you won't invest in legal." I mean, at this point, you should know why that's so important. So that's just something that has to be factored into the mix. It's not a if. It you will experience at some point some type of lawsuit, whether it's frivolous or not. And again, you want to make sure that that structure in those holding companies can hold you up in the event of any type of litigation, anytime. And it doesn't matter if it's coming from you personally or if it's coming from one of your businesses or one of your properties. As you can see, risk lives all around us. And we don't know when it's going to strike. Last but not least, while we're on this topic, I cringe when I'm watching something on social media and someone is just like, "Oh, get this irrevocable trust. This irrevocable trust does this and it does that, and I don't pay any taxes." I'm here to tell you, make sure before you bring on an irrevocable trust into your structure that your attorney and your tax advisor are on the same page about why this is necessary and what the taxable implications are of making that decision. What you may not know is that the tax brackets for irrevocable trusts are significantly condensed. And therefore, someone who has a business that's in an irrevocable trust that has $1 million in profits more than likely is going to pay more in taxes than they would have had they just had an LLC and all the income passed to their personal tax return. But that is what they don't tell you in these social media streets. They don't tell you that. So make sure your parties and your money team is on the same page, because I would hate for you to have an unnecessary and unpleasant tax bill because you put things into an irrevocable trust. And by the name alone, irrevocable means you can't easily undo those things. So now you got your business in there and you stuck. That's awful. Awful. And so many of us are falling into that trap. So many. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap up here. But a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But a map ensures you arrive at the right destination. All of these things together, you becoming an accredited investor, you investing in private markets, you, i.e., the leverage, you expanding, you getting those partnerships, those alliances, those JVs, you're participating in the government incentives, and you making sure that your structure is in order. That map that you see there are all opportunity zones in the United States, meaning that you can invest in any of those pink areas on that map and can set your family up for the next 200 years. But only if you're using capital gains. I need to do an entire training on capital gains, but only if you're using capital gains to do the investing. I just gave you your roadmap, people. And when you bring all of those things together, leverage, expansion, government incentives, and structure, you can now start acting with more intention and start building wealth like the 1%. Like the 1%. So think about going back to that table at the beginning. You looked at that table, and again, it had 4 legs. If we implement all 4 of these legs, We are in a really good position to defend ourselves no matter what may be coming down the pipeline. 99% of the business owners who have over $500,000 in revenue, have a net worth of over $1 million, they are not in position to defend themselves. And I implore you to stop what you're doing and focus on your defensive strategy. You don't have any additional time to waste or delay. When you have all four of those legs, that table is sturdy. That table cannot just turn over on its own, it can't just implode. And that is why these four legs are so important. But as you know, if you're missing one of the legs, the table would still stand, but it might be a little wobbly. It would take some type of large force to make it so unstable that it will fall. But again, that large force is risk. That risk can come from any different direction. You're missing two of those legs. That is a lot of pressure, a lot of weight on that table with those two legs. Could it balance just right and still stand? Yes, it could. Could it easily fall and tumble? Absolutely. And if you only have one of those legs because you haven't done the rest of it, I hate to tell you, but you may not actually have sufficient business operations or sufficient risk management protection in your business. But when you have all four, you are stable and you have a solid foundation you can build on. But it must take all four if your desire is to be and invest like the 1%. So I told you before, earlier in the presentation, that we are warriors. We are in a battle. We are experiencing things we have never experienced in our lifetimes. And even if it has not trickled down to you yet, it will. So I want to know, are you going to be the next person to conquer your finances? If you're going to be that person, say yes in the chat. I'm ready to conquer. Tell me that you are ready to conquer down into the chat or the Q&A box that you're ready to conquer. And if so, I would love to invite you to participate in the next phase of this journey with me. And the next phase of this journey is called the Wealth Up, Taxes Down Workshop. Wealth Up, Taxes Down, because that's what we want to see. This workshop has a few unique benefits. Number one, I am guaranteeing that I will create at least $3,000 in value for you or save you at least $3,000 in taxes. And if not, I will give you your money back. No questions asked. No questions asked. Benefit number two, you're going to learn how the 1% legally pay almost nothing in taxes. We spoke about it quite a bit on that in government incentives tab, but we're going to get really into the nitty gritty. Benefit number three, we're going to get ahead of these tax changes that are soon to be coming down the pipeline. When they're debating these bills on the Congress floor, we're already planning in the background, hey, these are the things that we need to do as soon as this budget passes and we know when it becomes effective. These are the things that we need to do. And we start prepping our clients early. They know about it early. This is not because of the magnitude of this budget reconciliation bill. This is not something you can wait until tax time next year to figure out. I'm sorry. It's just too large of a bill. Benefit number four, we're going to prep you so you can start relying on the government. You can start relying on your employer. You know, even if you're a real estate investor, we're going to give you the tools to make sure that you can control your wealth, that no matter who's in office, no matter the changes that may come, that you can control, protect, and continue to build what you have already built. This is not for you if you're like, hey, I don't have time to figure this stuff out. I just need somebody to do it. This is not for you. Okay. You may want to just book a consultation call, let us chat it out, figure out a different place for you. This is also not for you if you're not interested in building wealth. If you're not interested in building wealth, this is not the place for you. This is the place for you, however, if you're tired of seeing all of the social media gurus telling you how you can build wealth and how you can pay less in taxes and how you can get to where Grant Cardone and all these other people are. This is for you. I don't sugarcoat things. I tell you when I think something is too good to be true. And we actually build plans that last. It's not based on trying to save you, $10,000 your first year. We're building plans because we want to get you down to the 0% tax bracket within the next 5 to 7 years, maybe 9, depending on what you got going on. Those are the types of plans and structures that we build. And if that is of interest to you, this is for you. Also, there are a lot of people who follow me, even though they may not meet the 1, 2, 3 definition of an accredited investor, but they're like, no one ever told me about this information. Like, this information is being kept behind a gate. And you're the first person I've heard speak about it. And if you just truly have a desire to learn more so you can figure out how to position yourself, by all means, I would love to have you. Would love to have you. So, this workshop is a 4-hour time commitment, okay? It's actually from 11 to 5. So 4-hour commitment of intentional and focused learning. Again, you're going to get this 100% guarantee or your money back. And the retail value is $3,997. You're going to receive some bonuses. These bonuses include the Secrets of the 1% Key Financial Data Guide. When I tell you that people do not understand how tax brackets work in this country, I mean that. And when I say people don't understand, I mean like 99.9% of the population do not understand how tax brackets work. You're going to learn because that is a significant planning opportunity. So you're going to get that bonus, this bonus guide, but in that workshop, you're going to learn how tax brackets actually work. You're going to get a replay access. The replay access is for 1 full year. It is not lifetime because we talk a lot of numbers and these numbers change almost yearly. So this time next year, this data will be obsolete. It will be no longer applicable, and so we don't like old and outdated information to just be floating around. So the replay access is good for 1 year. You're also going to get access to the tax-free wealth private recorded training. That training is held in our school community, where we deep dive even further into some of the topics that we're going to be covering into the workshop. You can refer to that training at any time. It is more evergreen in nature, meaning we don't really discuss a lot of numbers, but evergreen meaning even if you revisit that training 5 years from now, it will still be applicable. It will still be applicable. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm in trainings and I hear something, I'm like, oh, that's unique. I like the sound of that. But I'm actually not ready at that moment to implement whatever I heard. But I make a note, I make a mental note of that. And like a year or two later, I come back and I'll rewatch something and I'm like, okay, I could check this off. I did that. I could check this off. I did that. Oh, now that makes sense. Now I understand why that's so important. And then I go ahead and implement that. But it was only because I was able to come back to that recorded training. So that is the reason why that is also so important. Now, if all this did was to help you have the peace of mind that you can now go on the offense. You can go on the offense because you have done the work to defend your position. If all this does is help you go on offense, would that be worth it to you? If all this did was gave you peace of mind, clarity, comfort, direction, a map, so you can understand the direction that you're headed in, would that be worth it to you? If all this did was save you $3,000 or $5,000 in taxes, even though that's very low in our world, we really aim to get up there in the numbers. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of savings, if not millions in savings. But if all it did was help you save 10, 15, $20,000, would that be worth it to you? Then and so I invite you to register for this workshop. We have one coming up in a few weeks. It's called the Wealth Up Taxes Down workshop. You can find more details at wealthuptaxesdown.com. Again, the retail value is $3,997. You will not pay anything close to that. Your risk-free investment is only $497. Only $497. And I am giving you my personal guarantee that if you do not get that value, or you don't have a way to save that $3,000 in taxes, we are going to give you your money back. No questions asked. You can find more details at www.wealthuptaxesdown.com. Again, 100% satisfaction guarantee. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. But if you want to be like the 1% and you want to build wealth, you have to understand how taxes work first. Most people think they understand how taxes work. I can assure you, you don't. You got to understand this first. You have to understand how to take earned income, which is the highest tax form of income, and convert it down, down, down to tax free income. And if you've never heard anyone say that, I need to see you in this workshop. We're going to tell you how to take the highest tax income, which is earned income, and convert it to tax free. That's just one of the things we're going to talk about. And then, of course, those tax brackets, because I know you don't know them. I don't know you don't know how they work. So, the path to success is to take massive, determined action. What type of action? Massive, determined action, and therefore you cannot delay. You must get started today. I want to leave you with this: wealth is not reserved for the select few, it is built through informed decisions and consistent action. It's built through what? Informed decisions and consistent action. I want to help you make 2025 your transformative year, and transformative in a good way. Again, we're seeing some things happening economically and politically that we have not experienced before. You have a right to be concerned. You have a right to be anxious. You have a right to be fearful. But I want to give you the tools to help you overcome those emotions so you can defend your position. And once we finish defending your position, you can go on offense. And no matter which way the market moves, you can move with it. You go on defense when you go on defense, you hop on offense when you need to be on offense. But most of us are not in position to get anywhere close to offense because there is some defending we need to do right here on the front lines. And that's what I invite you to do. The first step is to learn how taxes work. And that is done through that 4-hour workshop. It's from 11 to 5. We have a little time built in for breaks. But that is the first step, is to learn how taxes actually work in this country. Again, my name is Amelia Thomas. Thank you so much for attending today. If you have any questions, comments, make sure you drop those down in the comments. Make sure you register at attendthemasterclass.com so you can get those bonuses that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And remember, you have rights as an American. I spent the first few minutes of this presentation telling you what your rights were, reminding you what your rights were. So I want to see you exercise those rights, get in the top 1%, and we are here to support you along the way. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you